Good morning, boys and girls. Happy painting day. We are going to get started preparing our mandala for paint. Now, before you do get started painting, I want you to look at the screen and write down in what sliver should you have what color. And it should match the color wheel on the screen. So I know you might not have the color wheel memorized in order. So if you look at the screen, you can just write down a little note about what color is where. So next to yellow is yellow orange. Next to yellow orange is orange, so on and so forth. But just write yourself a little note to help you remember what color goes where. We're going to be filling these in, and it's going to look just like a color wheel. So we don't want to make that mistake of getting our colors out of order, and then it won't look like a color wheel. We can erase these when it's time to paint that sliver. So I'll erase it and then I'll paint it yellow. But today we're going to start with blue. Now I know this is out of order. You know me, I'm just kind of experimenting on this piece here. But today you're going to get a chance to paint. At your table, you're going to notice you have a container of high concentrated watercolor paint. So this is where you get your paint from. Think of it like a bottle of paint that you squirt into a tray, although you can't squirt this, but this is like where you get your paint from. And then we're going to add water to it because it's highly concentrated. So make sure this is in the top center of your table, because if you spill this, it's going to make a really big mess, and that is not good. So keep it up high in the middle of your table so your neighbors can reach it too. You're going to share a tray with a neighbor or two. And what you're going to do first is use your watercolor brush to just suck up paint and drop it off. Suck up paint. It's like a straw, believe it or not, or maybe a better thing to compare to is like a sponge. These little bristles are made to hold onto and absorb lots of moisture, and when I dab it into my tray, it just kind of leaves the brush, and here I've got a nice puddle of water. Now, like I said, this is highly concentrated, so I'm just going to take a dip. I'm going to add some to my water. I don't want to use this on its own, okay, because it's really, really, really dark. So we're going to add it to some water. And now I have a lot of paint to work with. I'm going to try to make my shapes stand out from one another. So I notice that this blue is really light. I'm going to try to stay inside those lines. Notice I've already outlined my work in Sharpie. Looks nice and bold. And I'm going to fill in that whole space. And I'm pulling the paint. And I notice I don't need to re-dip for a while. This brush really is holding on to a lot of moisture. Now this blue looks a heck of a lot like this blue. And I would like them to stand out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a dip from the really dark blue. And I'm just going to use a little bit of this really dark blue on its own. Now I can add it to this wet area, or maybe I could paint a little design in the background. Then my shapes stand out from one another. Now, if your background is wet, let's put some water there, and I want to paint on it, you're going to see what happens to your color. It starts to move and spread, and it doesn't really hold a tight line like we saw here. If I'm painting on wet paper, my color likes to spread and move. If I'm painting on dry paper, my color likes to stay tight and right where I laid it. Okay, so we are painting in our backgrounds, trying to make the shapes stand out from one another. I did a little experimenting here, obviously, so it kind of looks a little messy right now, but learn from my mistakes, okay? For cleanup, it's going to be really, really, really simple. All you're going to do is, if one friend could come up, give the brush a little swirl, a little shake, hairy side up in the cups with the other brushes that look just like them. Dump your water, stack the cup, take your palette, maybe another friend could take the palette, dump the palette, rinse the palette, pop it in the tray. Bingo, bango. This lid needs to be secure. And I will come around and collect these because you know how I feel about nervousness about messes. This could make a big one. So I will collect these for you. All you need to do, drop off that water cup, rinse off that tray, put it in the big tray, put your brush away, hairy side up, and then we are going to put wet work on the drying rack today in the back of the room. So please make sure your name is on your artwork or else it could get confused for someone else's. I've seen it happen before, so please make sure your name is on the back or somewhere small on the front. Okay? Have fun today.